So I'm always really keen. You would have seen, obviously, you saw a massive gap in your particular market. There wasn't a good quality product that you could offer. But on top of that, I'm sure there have been others, you've been doing this for a long time now, who came in and wanted to do what you're doing and perhaps did and maybe had a nice product and maybe did that, but they haven't been sustained. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, what do you think, and obviously I know trust comes into it, but just generally from a business perspective, how do you see that you were a bit different? So you spoke about earlier how
it all comes down to financial hygiene. I mean, if you're not running your business correctly, then you're going to fail, right? That doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're not on top of your numbers, you're going to fail, right? Because you can't see what you're spending, what your outgoings, your incomes, you just can't see it. And I mean, one of the biggest problems that we have in this industry or in any business is most people starting off, they tend not to not even know what a P&L is or a forecast. So they can't actually sit and look at the business and think, right, can we afford this? Can we afford 3 more team members? Can we afford to invest in that property? How much are we spending on marketing for the next 3 months? What's the maintenance cost? Can we reduce the cleaning? There's all of these factors that have to come in. And this is when people turn around and go, I want to scale my business. And it's like, I understand scale. I mean, it's very important for any business to scale. But scaling has to come, it's all done at the right time. So like you can't just go and like a lot of people in the serviced accommodation industry think scaling is about getting as many properties on their books as possible. That's a recipe for disaster. You've got to scale at the right point. You might go and sign 6 3-bedroom apartments and you've only got a market for 2 beds. Your biggest demand is 2 beds. Why would you want a 3-bed? Why would you want to overload 3 beds? And then what happens is you're promising property owners a certain return and you're not giving them it. So then what happens is they then want to move agents and then you get a bad reputation for not delivering. Again, trust. If you say to a property owner, we're now in the market for 3 new 2 beds. Our demand is high, so we need, if we want to scale, we need 3 more 2 beds on our books. So then you go out actively and look for them 3 2 beds that suit your brand, because when they come into your portfolio, you've got bookings ready for them because that's what your demand says, and this is all done through understanding the market and having all of the relevant information at your fingertips, which is like all of the booking, like all of your booking analysis, the analytics. You can see what properties are a premium, what properties are in high demand, and you need to be on top of all of that right from the start, whether you've got 1 or 2 properties, because them systems you input at the start are going to serve you as you grow. But you can't grow like that because you're just going to drop right back down. You've got to sustain it through and this is what people think. They see keeping up with the Joneses. They see somebody else, I've just got 40 properties. I'm now at 60 properties. Forget all that. I know here in Cannes, I know that there's companies who are managing 100 properties, okay? And a company that are managing 50 properties, and the company that are managing 50 properties are more profitable than the company managing 100 properties. So that goes to show it's not about the number of properties you have under management. It's about how you manage it. And that is all comes down to financial hygiene. So get your finances in check, understand what a P&L is. If you don't know what it is, that's okay. But start learning about it. Don't just think that, okay, I get a property, I put it on Airbnb and I get some money and I service it and that's it. That's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about sort of creating this business. And I love it. You always come up with new words. I've never heard of financial hygiene. That's absolutely amazing. And I was exactly that person when I very first started out. I mean, I've just set up another rent-to-rent service accommodation business. I haven't done it for a while. I built up a business and then sold it. And then I you know, I've got a great landlord who wants me to take properties, so it seems rude not to.
Well,
So yeah, exactly. So I've just set up another one, and I find it's just an amazing opportunity, because people often say, what would you do if you were able to go back and do it again? And I feel like I've got that opportunity to go back and do it again with what I know now.
Yeah.
And it's just been, I mean, the properties still look great, but what I've spent this time, I mean, it's like a third of what I originally spent, and it's still a fantastic product. It still looks great. And then also, as you say, keeping on top of things from a financial perspective is just so key, and it's not a strength of mine. And it almost makes me feel unwell, but I'm really pushing it through. I go out of my way now, and not just in the business, but my personal spending now. You know, each month I've got a list, and it's quite frightening when you're like, gosh, that is how much we spend on a monthly basis. And this is how much money is coming in. You know, where does it even out? Do we need to spend that? How much are we spending on the kids? You know, how much are you spending doing various things? And actually having an understanding of that, as you said, having this kind of financial hygiene. Yeah, I mean, that's just
critical. It's critical for, I mean, look, if you're a business in the serviced accommodations sector, and you're kind of pretty much predominantly relying on an OTA like Airbnb or Booking.com, a lot of the work really is done by the OTA, right? I mean, all you're doing is listing it. The guest communication is done through the OTA, and basically what you are as a supplier to the OTA, you know, they're coming in to your property that you're servicing. So you service the property, they have a great stay, and then they leave, and you think you've got a business. But you don't really have a business, because it's like that old saying, you don't build your house on somebody else's land. And that's what you're doing with relying on Airbnb. Now, there's no problem with starting with Airbnb. And if you've only got the intention to have one or two properties, then maybe Airbnb is the right option for you. Pay the commission and stay under that radar, and that's fine. I'm not dissing Airbnb. But if you've got the intention to grow a short-term rental accommodation business, then you have to be sure that you're going to be reducing that OTA reliance. So maybe you start off at 100%. That's fine. But you have to be on a vision to say, within the first 6 months, I want that reliance to go from 100% to 80. And then I want it to go from 80 to 70, and 70 to 60, and 60 to 50. And so basically what you're doing is you're starting at an OTA level, and then slowly you're building up your direct bookings and your business, because when you're on the OTAs, you don't have any control over the business. You don't have any control over the finance. You don't even get paid until the guest checks in. I mean, I couldn't agree to that in my life, but that's the way people are. That's the only choice they've got. So you've got to turn around and understand, what do you want to build? What is your intention? And then you've got to start having that strategy and plan in place to reduce the OTA, build your own direct booking website, start on your trust strategy, your trust marketing, learn how to convert an OTA booking into a direct booking, which isn't easy, but it's possible, you know, and have a strategy to remove that OTA reliance into direct bookings, if that's what you want to do. But don't just sit there and think, I'm going to build an STR business and I'm going to get to 100 properties, and you're relying 100% on an OTA for the revenue. It's like business suicide. I mean, you just heard what happened a few weeks ago. Somebody on Airbnb, their account just went off. 56 properties gone, finished. For some reason, the guest complained to Airbnb about a ring camera or something like that, and Airbnb just shut their account down, all their bookings, everything. So they've got no control, you know. And a lot of the time now, what's happening is guests are checking in and they're doing chargebacks, so that you don't even get paid. You've got all this extra administration, so you're not in control of the cancellation policy, which is a big one, you know, because if you can't control that, you're basically just putting all your eggs into the basket of the OTA, which is like I said, it's business suicide because you don't have the control. All successful businesses are because you have control. You make the decisions, you control what's going on, you control your customer, you control your finances, you control everything. Now, the OTAs have made a great, they've done wonders for the industry, don't get me wrong, but you can't rely on them, otherwise you're not building anything that could be sustainable. It's a risk, and that's what you don't want. So you must start reducing that OTA reliance to direct bookings through different strategies so that you can control your business.